Are bracing for the possibility that Donald Trump is preparing to carry out his threats of retribution when he returns to office. Mark Zaid, an attorney representing many of Trump's potential targets, is warning his clients to take the president-elect's threats seriously, even advising them to go on international vacation for the first few days of the Trump presidency. Mark Zaid joins us now.
Mark, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for being at the table this morning with us. You had an interesting point to make in Politico where you noted you don't have to be an expert in the intelligence community to know who would face things. People like John Brennan, Jim Clapper, maybe Liz Cheney. I don't think you're going to see repercussions against members of Congress because the Republicans in Congress are not going to want to see that. Give us your assessment of this landscape that we're about to witness unfold. I think we got a little bit of a preview of it last night down in Mar-a-Lago, where Donald Trump hosted his co-conspirators and collaborators in the insurrection and the attempt to take control of the 2020 election. How do you see some of these narratives playing out and some of the legal consequences in any action that Donald Trump and his Justice Department may take?
Sure, Michael. Good morning and Happy New Year to you both. What a great start to the new year, right? As we saw, as you mentioned last night, I love the fact that John Eastman was down there. You know, one of my clients, Olivia Troy, who I've already had to respond to Trump nominee, FBI nominee Kash Patel's threat to sue, and I used the Monty Python reference, and John Eastman called me immature, of all people, as I should take some legal advice from him. You guys sketched it out, of course, in the last segment. With the immunity ruling, he really could do almost anything. But even beyond that, the law allows a lot more than what people understand, because norms and practices always held some level of restraint of federal officials. So IRS audits, you said, revocations of security clearances, of which there is no federal court jurisdiction to challenge that, even if it was done for improper purposes, investigations, terminations, all sorts of things that could be done that could make life incredibly difficult for individuals, which is why one of my organizations, Whistleblower Aid, we provide pro bono for free legal representation to whistleblowers, and we expect that there probably will be a great number of those, I hope.
Let's stay on that point. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that some Justice Department attorneys are looking for protections. The officials who work on politically sensitive cases weigh moves ahead of Donald Trump's second term. If you were inside DOJ, what remedies are even available to you?
Yeah, so I have heard from quite a number of lawyers within the Justice Department, FBI agents who have worked on Jack Smith's cases, just as a part of their normal course of business, right? Nothing political, just signing search warrants and other investigative tasks that they normally do. The problem is there's not a lot you can do in preparation. I mean, we will be ready for providing pro bono representation through Whistleblower Aid and others, but the rest of it, we're just going to have to wait and see what might happen. I don't have a lot of faith, which is sad to say, in the federal judiciary, not because I don't trust the judges. Many Trump-appointed judges I appear before all the time, they're perfectly fine. What I'm concerned about is the length of time that it takes to be able to mount a legal challenge, especially given the lawfare, which they always use as a weaponized word, the lawfare that the MAGA crowd uses to delay, and just appeal. So literally, while I think ultimately we'll win in a lot of the litigation, it could be the next administration of J.D. Vance or Kamala Harris or whomever before we actually have a favorable resolution that holds firm.
Mark, speak to the sense of fairness that I think, will be a part of the conversation, in the sense that we watched Donald Trump and a lot of his cronies go through this judicial process, and you just put your finger on an important aspect of what they did. They delayed, and they obfuscated, and they pretended that, you know, this was lawfare. They just make up crap and call it lawfare. And there was a lot of projection. You just made a reference to, you know, those things that don't have a judicial lane in which they can be adjudicated in front of a judge. Why not? Why not bring it up? Why not say, look, you know, this is an attack, a political attack on me by this administration by stripping my ability to do my job. If you take away my security clearance, I cannot do my job. And therefore, now you've impacted my personal commerce. You've impacted a lot of other things that you and I could, as lawyers, go through and sort of pile on in the conversation. Why not play the game the way they play it? Why not engage in the system the way they engage in it, so that you at least make the point that what they're doing is wrong? You get it out in the public, you get it in front of a judicial body, and force them to acknowledge it one way or the other.
Well, I've spent the better part of more than 30 years of my legal career in D.C. trying to push some of those issues. In the security clearance realm, unfortunately, there's a Supreme Court decision from back in 1988 that precludes federal jurisdiction of security clearance decisions. I think it's quite frankly, a ridiculous decision, but those of us who favor the rule of law apply past precedents.
Well, Rome was the law of the land.
So, yeah, it's right. And
so look, the Supreme Court wrote something 6 years ago.
But it's not going to happen right now. Maybe in 2026, if Congress reverts back, we can actually have something changed. And I do think, look, you know, chaos often brings change, and maybe some good things will happen where we could actually reform some aspects. And in fact, in Project 2025, they talk about reforming the clearance process, and I'm all for that. They talk about declassification, all for that. Reducing overclassification, all for it. But hopefully they won't use those powers in a way to embarrass their political enemies, to attack their political enemies. Time will tell. We'll see. But look, there will be many legal challenges, without a doubt. Just as we do in every administration, regardless of political party. I just think we'd probably be engaged in more of them this time around.
I read something, Mark, in the intro that I want to go back to because I want to understand you're advising your clients who might be potential targets to go on international vacation for the first few days of the Trump presidency. Tell me why.
So, I mean, that was said, and I said that seriously. There are some people who I thought it might make better sense to, you know what, be outside of the country to see what happens. Because I do think, based on what President Trump has said he would do, he'll go ferociously right away. It's going to happen starting on day one and a few days after. So we would have a sense of what he's going to do. From what I've heard in talking to people who I would have expected to possibly take precautions, most of them are just saying, bring it on. You know what? I'm not changing anything that I'm doing. I'm going to be here. You want to come at me, come at me, and we'll see what happens. For some people, there are some really serious threats. And this isn't just from President Trump. We're not thinking he's thinking of everybody's names off the top of his head. It's the people around him. Who is he putting into certain cabinet positions? Who are they putting in as their chiefs of staff, their general counsels, their deputies? And many of these posts, of course, haven't been named yet, so we don't know how dire the threat might be, or we don't know how much we think will be protected, because hopefully, and I think there will be, because some of them are my clients, will be in this new Trump administration and will try to keep the path on the straight and narrow and follow the rule of law. I think there's going to be a lot of battle, you know, back and forth. It's going to be like back in Animal House with the devil and the angel on the shoulders, right? Of battling one another to see what decision will be made. And we're going to count on members of the Fourth Estate on every network, hopefully, you know, to call out where there are norms that are exceeded beyond what anyone ever expected. And I do think we're going to see that even by many of those who supported Trump in 2024. I think there's going to be decisions made where a lot of them go, oh, wait, that is not what I thought would happen.
Mark Zaid.
And I don't like it.
I know we got to go. I just want to say officially, what does it say about a country and a people that are afraid of its president and his administration?
Doesn't say much good.
Yeah.